Okay, so the manipulative I'm going to be using today is I'm going to be using the rods, but since I am doing it virtually, I'm going to be using these fraction strips to represent the rods. The class or the grade that this is meant for is for first grade, and the Montana Common Core Standard is under measurement and data for first grade. And the standard is order 3 objects from a variety of cultural contexts, including those of Montana American Indians, by length, and compare the lengths of 2 objects indirectly by using a third object. The second part of that standard is express the length of an object as a whole number of length units by laying multiple copies of a shorter object end to end. Understand that the length measurement of an object is the number of same size length units with no gaps or overlaps. So again, I'm going to be using the rods as manipulatives, but these are more fraction bars that are going to represent the rods. So this one right here, this whole rod is representative of 1. It is 1 rod. It is the equation 1 over 1, which equals 1. It is just 1 rod. So if we wanted to find the half of the rod, which would be split in half here, we would do the equation 1/2. So in terms of the rods, that means I am taking half of a rod away from the full rod here. So 1/2 of the rod is here, 1/2 of the rod is no longer here. I took half the rod away, so if I split it in half, that is half the rod that is gone. Okay, so again, if I wanted to bring that other half back to make a whole rod, I would make a whole rod by putting 1/2 and 1/2 together, which then makes it 2 out of 2, which equals 1. So any number on top of the same number equals 1. So if you have 1 out of 1, that equals 1 rod. As you see right here and over here, they match. 1 over 1, 1 rod. If you have, let's see, 2 over 2, again, 1 rod. It is fully shaded, it is 1 rod. And same with any other number. Let's do 3. Again, 3 over 3, 1 rod. It is 1 whole rod. So, all right. So again, we're back to 1 rod, 1 full rod here. Again, if we take half that rod away, and we only want 1/2, that's how we're going to get it. Now, see, we have 1/2. 1/2 of the rod. This part is gone. This part is no longer shaded, which makes it only half of a rod. It is not a whole. If I split this in half here, see my little mouse thing, if I go right on this line, that's half. That is half of that rod that is gone. So this is a full rod again, and this is a half of a rod. Half of it is gone. So I'm going to make this a whole rod again, because now that we know what half of a rod is, again, you see right here that line, it's still a whole because it's still all there. But again, that line, if it cut it in half and this was gone, we'd be left with 1/2 of a rod, half of a rod. Now, if we were going to do, insert another rod here, okay? So as you see, that's 3 over 3. Again, that equals 1 full rod. So the 3 over 3, that is 1 rod, 1 rod, 1 rod. So right now this is all equal. It all equals 1 rod. But let's say we want to take away 1/3 of our rod. So we're going to take away 1/3 of our rod. That leaves us with 2/3 of our rod. See, 2/3. 1/3 is gone, but we still have 1, 2. So 2 of the 3 is still shaded. So then again, we have 2/3. Now, if we want to take away another rod, now we only have 1/3. So now we took away 1, 2, and we're left with 1. So altogether we have 1, 2, 3, but only 1 shaded in, so that leaves us with 1/3. So then again, right here, we don't have a full rod. This is a full rod and this is a full rod. We only have 1/3 of this rod. So we don't have even half. See how that line goes down the half? We don't even have that. We have less than that. So if we had 1/2 here, do we have half of a rod? Right here we do, but on the 1/3 we do not. If we wanted our third rod here to equate to 1/2, this is what we would do. We would take away 1/3, and therefore we have 2. But is that still a half? No, that is now over half a rod. So we can't really get it down to 1/2 of a rod because 2/3 is still over half, but 1/3 is under half. So now let's try it with 4s. Okay, so if we have 4, again, we have 1 full rod here. 4 out of 4, 1 whole rod. So let's see, let's get this back. Do a whole rod for each of them. So right now, this again equates to 1 rod, 1 rod, 1 rod. They're both full, nothing's missing. They equate to 1. So let's say we want to, again, we're going to take half of our rod here. Now we have half. Okay, half of our rod is gone here. But if we wanted to show half of a rod on our 4th, what we would do is we would take 2 away. Do you see how if you go straight down the middle here, that lines up, right? So half of 2/4 is 2/4. That's a half. That is half of a full rod is 2/4. Now if you're taking, again, this is straight down the middle, it's half. So 1/2 of a rod is 1/2. But 1/2 of a rod of 4 is 2/4, which equals a half. So 2/4 here is equivalent to our 1/2 mark here. And then if we want to do 1/4, it's no longer equivalent. Our 1/4 does not equate to a half or a whole. It is 1/4. So now we have 3/4 that are gone and 1/4 that is shaded. So if we see here again, this does not equate to 1. This is 1. This doesn't equate to 1. It equates to a half, and this equates to 1/4 because 1 out of the 4 are shaded. 1/4. So now if we want to bring our half back up to a whole, what are we going to do? We're going to add a half in. If we add half, that equates back to our full rod. That equates back to 1. If we want to change our 4s, our 1/4 back into 4/4, which equals 1, we're going to add those 3 back. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. And again, we have 4/4, which equal 1. It is 1 whole rod now. So now they all equal 1.